Hi friends, welcome to another episode of That Gardener channel. Today we are going to do a video about strawberries. We have been growing these strawberries for 2 years now, and I thought it would be time to share a bit of our experience, what has worked well for us, and talk a little bit about the runners as well, because you can actually get strawberries year after year continuously if you use the system of runner pruning. So let's get going. So this is our vegetable garden bed, as you all know, and we've been growing these strawberries in this corner here with lemongrass and next to the Brussels sprouts and lettuce. This is the second year we have been growing the strawberries. We are still fairly new to growing them and still learning how to grow them, but they're fairly quite easy to grow. So strawberries are ground cover crops, very similar to pumpkins, or if you very similar to pumpkins, and in that way it does tend to monopolize the entire vegetable patch if you're not very careful. So it's good to actually grow it either in a corner or to control the growth by trimming off and pruning off these runners, and we'll talk a little bit about these runners in a moment. But what's also good to know about the strawberries is that it's very easy to grow, as it just grows like a grass. It needs moderate water, loves well drained soil, and what we tend to do is give it a lot of nitrogen in the first stages of the growth. So that's really to encourage a lot of leafy growth, make sure that it's growing healthy, and then once it starts to flower or to fruit, at this point, as you can see, we tend to add a lot of phosphorus, and we tend to do that through use of bone meal, which works really well, or if you have blood meal you can add that as well, or even liquid fertilizer, that will work well. As you can see, we are getting a lot of fruits now and flowers as well, so it's a perfect time to add that bone meal to the soil as well, and then we amend that with a lot of compost regularly as well. So strawberries being a runner plant, and it tends to really be a very excellent ground cover, what we also see is that it tends to really grow in all directions. So you'll see the runners, and these are essentially the offshoots of the mother plant. This is the mother plant which we had first planted 2 years ago, and from this you can see all these offshoots in different directions. There's one going there, couple of them going here, and then you can see they're getting into the lawn as well. And these are really just the offshoots of the mother plants, which become their own independent plants eventually. Just to look at the anatomy of these offshoots, you can see one of these offshoots. I'll just grab one of them. So here's one offshoot of the mother plant, which is essentially an extension, as I said, and you can see that it tends to grow on its own, and it's going to have its own roots as well. You can see some of the roots coming on, and it's going to become its own independent plant. And really what we can do is prune off this part and plant it in a separate patch or in a nearby area in the patch, and it will become its own huge strawberry plant eventually. So you can really have unlimited strawberries year after year if you can just save these different runners from the plants. You can keep pruning them instead of buying, and then that will save you a lot of money and effort as well. And at the same time, these different parts of the strawberries that are starting to monopolize different parts of the patch, as you can see, this is getting into the place where we grow other vegetables. It becomes really irritating as well. Just like pumpkins, you need to make sure that you can prune it off, and it will keep it in check as well, and at the same time you will have unlimited strawberries as well. So let's do a little bit of pruning now. So you want to be quite gentle with the pruning. What you want to first do is identify these runners, and that's quite easy. You just look at the mother plant, and you identify some of these long offshoots or stems coming out, and you can see they're quite easy to identify. They tend to have these individual plants that are coming off with the roots. You want to make sure that each one of these offshoots that you're going to cut off have the plants that have the roots. If they don't have the roots, they're still a bit too young. You don't want to clip off. You want to do that once it's a bit more mature, like this one. is a better choice than this one, for instance. So we're actually going to prune this one off. This is quite mature. You can see there's also a ton of roots coming off which look healthy and strong. If you look at it closely there, and it would be perfect for planting as a individual plant. So the place where we always clip off is we want to make sure it's a couple of inches from the roots so you don't damage anything, and then you clip off here, and there you go. This is your individual strawberry plant now from the runner, and it's ready to go. What we're going to do is, this is early evening time, so it's a perfect time to transplant. You remember from my other videos, we always say that you want to transplant when it's early morning or evening, early evening, when it's a bit cooler. That's a perfect time to transplant. Similarly for the runners, it's the same process. You want to make sure it's a little bit cooler when you do transplant these offshoots and runners, because you don't want it to dry off. If you are going to save it for later, what I suggest is to put them in a wet paper towel to save them once it's a bit cooler, and then you can transplant so that it doesn't dry off. As I said before, we're going to save this one for later. Same here. This is a little bit too young, so these ones we're just going to move them in, and we're going to look for other runners. So going through the plant gently, you'll see there's a ton of other runners that are here as well. A clear mature one is this one. That's quite mature. As you can see, it has strong hold on the ground as well, and the runner itself is quite healthy. So we'll try to grab this very carefully from the bottom, not to break the roots. And here we go. You can see the roots are very natural, very mature. The plant is quite healthy, so it's a perfect one to clip. And then what we want to do is leave a couple of inches from the roots, not to damage anything. Clip it gently, and here's your second perfect strawberry plant, which we can put in the ground. Now you will also note that some of these, as you clip off, have their own runners as well that are going through them, because it tends to be one plant to another plant to another plant. That's how strawberries work. It's like a network of these plants. You have two choices here. You can either leave this on and make sure that you put this second offshoot into the ground as well. There you might have a good chance of it surviving if it was a bit more mature. This is quite young. Not sure it will definitely survive, but maybe a little bit of a chance of survival because it does have some roots. So we're not gonna waste it. Let's just put it in the ground next to the mother, the new mother here, and I will give it a shot instead of wasting it. Now I did want to show you an example of a offshoot, a runner that we had planted 2 weeks ago from the mother plant. We had clipped off one of the offshoots, which is here now. It's doing extremely well, you can see, and here is where we had clipped off. You can see clearly from the mother, and what we had done was we gently put it in the ground next to the mother here. And what we want to do is to see how, and we had put it next to the mother here, and you can see it's doing really healthy. It's well established, and it's become its own plant here where it was clipped off, and it's doing really well on its own here. So you can see it's a really good process to get a ton of strawberry plants. And let me show you another spot where we have moved some of the other strawberry offshoots. Hi friends, it's been few days since we last did our strawberry video. I wanted to show you an update on how our clips are doing that we transplanted to another patch. I wanted first to show you guys our lovely cat Carl, who's having a lovely time resting here on our swing on a lovely weekend afternoon. He's a nice boy, resting well, stretched out. Here's our clips that we took from our strawberry plant. If you remember, we had planted these in a different patch, so they're all doing quite healthy. Here's the first one, the second one, and this is the third one. They're all managing quite well, and we just want to make sure that this bed is kept well hydrated and full of manure as well, and compost, and it seems to be doing quite well. And you can see one of them is actually having some additional shoots coming off, which is good. The runner is always a good sign because it shows that the new mother here is healthy as well. See a bunch of strawberries now coming out. Some are eaten by birds, but doing quite healthy. I can't wait to try these out. So that's really it, my friends, in terms of the strawberry gardening that we are doing here. Very simple. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you liked it, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and hope to see you on the next one. Thank you so much, friends, and see you next time. Bye.